In today's video, we have to go through some breaking injury news because death, taxes, and season-ending injuries for the New Orleans Saints. That's what we're going to talk about in the first half of this video. Second half, we're going to go through a live Q&A where I'm going to be responding to questions and hot takes from our live chat that we have every Monday and Thursday around 3 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Injury updates, as promised. Mike Garafolo, the first to report the Vernon Broughton injury news. Not good. The New Orleans Saints, they cannot catch a break here. They are going to miss Vernon Broughton out for the season. Kellen Moore confirming today that they will be sending him to IR, likely sending him to IR later this week, and that he will be missing significant time with a hip injury. He was a third-round pick, was really, really strong during the summer, had a great campaign in the preseason. Yesterday, got his first debut and got his first opportunities to play in the regular season of the National Football League. Showed some really good moments all throughout this time, and now his season is over. And I will go back to the fact that this team cannot catch a break. This team is cursed. This team just cannot avoid the injury bug. For some reason, there's something in the air in New Orleans that says, injury bug, we want you to come over here. And I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand it. Because it's like, how do you prevent some of these injuries from happening? Like, I've always said, it's not the medical staff's fault. You can't blame the medical staff for injuries that happen on the football field. Like, it's a physical sport. It happens. Does it happen this much to anyone else? Honest question. I don't think it does. I really, really have a hard time believing year in and year out that other teams deal with the injuries to the extent that New Orleans does. It's absolutely frustrating. This team cannot catch a break, and they have to be cursed. That's the only explanation at this point. The updated depth chart for New Orleans, you'll take a look at it. We went ahead and removed Vernon Broughton from here because he will be likely headed to IR. He was behind Brian Brzee, so now you can expect Jonathan Bullard to potentially move over, Fadil Diggs to get some more opportunities in the edge rushing room. Jonah Williams also could be a guy that gets rotated into the spot behind by Brian Brzee. But I will say for the New Orleans Saints, they have an opportunity to really get this defensive line going. And then the injuries start settling in. Remember, the Saints traded away Colin Saunders because they felt comfortable and confident with what they had in Vernon Broughton. And now you lose Vernon Broughton. And you may be sitting here saying, well, when the heck did it happen? Well, I honestly didn't see it. So shout out to Ross Jackson, friend of the program, for putting this one out there. Saints rookie Vernon Broughton looks like he got hurt on 2nd and 15 during the completion from Mac Jones to Christian McCaffrey right before the end of the ball game. Looked to grab his left side hip area after chasing downfield to make the tackle. This team is cursed, man. This team can't catch a break. Would you believe me if I told you we have 8 players on IR and 2 on the PUP list? Isn't that crazy? We haven't even played 3 games of football, Lopez. We haven't even played double-digit quarters of football. We've played 8 quarters, and we have 8 people on IR. 2 on the PUP list. Good stuff there, guys. Now, let's take a look at the major injuries, because, good God. For what it's worth, any name you see an asterisk next to, those guys are either on the PUP list, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill. They can return after 4 weeks of action. Landon Young, Barry Wesley, they were placed on IR with designations to return. Jalen Polk, a player the Saints traded for over the weekend, he is on IR due to a shoulder injury. Will Clapp, IR after the first preseason game. First couple reps, got hurt with the foot injury. Nick Saldiveri, out with a knee injury. Bub Means, ankle injury. Julian Blackman in week 1, suffered a shoulder injury, played every single snap. John Ridgeway, he played a bunch of good football in the preseason. He also dealt with an injury. Pec injury on IR. So I go back to the question. Is this a cursed franchise? Is this team cursed? I don't know what the Saints did to who and how they made somebody upset or what sins they committed. Not sure what it was, but it feels like this team is cursed. It feels like this team can't catch a break, and it feels like this team will always have to deal with injury issues. We're going to dive into the question and answer portion of this video. Vernon Broughton, likely out for the remainder of the season, will be placed on IR later this week, which is why I encourage every single one of you to subscribe to the channel, because once that move is made official, we will provide you guys with that update and with those news and notes. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. 50,397 doesn't happen on accident. We're trying to get to 100K ASAP. So subscribe today for live content and news every single day around your favorite football team. Now, really quick, today's show is presented by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world. And guys, you and I make decisions every single day. Wouldn't it be nice if you could make some money just making some decisions? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can with PrizePicks. It's the place where being right can get you paid. Don't miss any excitement of this season on PrizePicks, where it's always good to be right. It's the best way to cash in this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cold, hard cash for today. Monday Night Football doubleheader. I'm rolling with a pretty fun little lineup. Baker Mayfield, more on his passing yards. Dare Agumbawale, I got him with more than half a reception. And Emeka Egbuka, I think that he's going to have another great week. So I'm going to take the more on his receiving yards. If you want to do these picks, if you want to fade these picks, I don't care what you do. Just make sure you do it over with PrizePicks. Take advantage of the deals for Monday Night Football. Take advantage of the deals you got going into next week. And, of course, all throughout the sports season and other sports as well. They put users first. Withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account. Download the PrizePicks app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play a first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Now, Queen Courtney, first question of the mailbag portion of this video. If Olave can't figure out his drops, bench him for a half. I'm in the firm belief that when you get to professional level sports, benching a player simply because you're not happy with the production for a half does nothing good. I just don't think it makes any sense in the world to sit Chris Olave intentionally to punish him. How is that going to help? Because although you might think, yeah, this is going to make him say, okay, well, I'll stop dropping the ball. Well, guess what? He's not getting reps, and guess what? He's sitting there on the sideline getting in his own head. And now he's going to have the yips, and he's going to continue to have the drops, and he's going to, ruin his confidence. It's already probably pretty hurt because of the injury history and the lack of production. So, Lopez, I don't know if you disagree with me on this. I think benching Chris Olave for a half would actually be a bad idea. What do you think?
I'm not saying bench him, but I think it's time we do start seeing a little bit more out of him. Maybe Kellen Moore in the offense has to scheme something up.
Sure.
But we're only 2 games into the season, I'll say that. But if this keeps going, there's going to have to be some conversations had.
No, and I think that that's totally fair to say that there needs to be adjustments, and it needs to be fixed and improved. Like that, Queen Courtney, I don't disagree with you. He does need to figure out drops. But benching him, I don't think fixes that. You know what it does is running gassers up and down a hill. Or, doing bear crawls. Or, doing the log rolls all the way down the field.
Hit the jugs machine.
Yeah, hit the jugs machine. I don't know. Catch 500 passes on the jugs machine. I don't think benching him would do anything. I don't think it would make much of a difference. But I am with you, Queen Courtney. This guy definitely needs to figure out the drops and definitely needs to play a little bit better. I hate saying that about him, but he's supposed to be wide receiver 1. I want him to be better. Nintenja. Nussmeier #1 next year. I see it. What you think? Sure. I could see Garrett Nussmeier going #1 overall. I just don't think the Saints are going to be the #1 overall pick. Not saying that they will be outside of the top 5. I just don't think they'll be top 1. I mean, Lopez, come on. We're not going to have the #1 overall pick. Let's go through the list of teams that could have the #1 overall pick. Dolphins. Definitely Dolphins are a team to look for.
I think they might be the favorite at the moment.
Browns might be a team that...
Do they go quarterback? Question.
That's the thing. I don't know if they go quarterback. Unless you have number 1 overall pick and Garrett Nussmeier, you're like, I mean, that's a much better project or prospect than Shador. I don't know. But let's just talk about teams in general who could be the number 1 overall team. I think Dolphins are a bad team. The
100%.
Jets, now that Justin Fields is hurt.
But it's not a season-ending.
It's not a season-ending injury, but things could go
It could
south
snowball
very
real
quick.
fast.
It could snowball out of control really, really quickly.
Panthers haven't shown
Panthers
much.
are bad.
Giants still suck.
Giants are meh.
They're not going to go quarterback.
They're not going to go quarterback. I think they're like the Saints, where they'll be a top 10 pick. They will not be number 1. I think that there are just other rosters out there that are significantly worse than the New Orleans Saints this year.
And kind of going back to this question, it pains me to say it, Garrett Nussmeier hasn't played great this year.
Yeah,
I don't think any college quarterbacks have played great
I'm
this
going
year.
to go ahead and say this right now. If you want to take a quarterback number 1 overall, taking the guy out of OU right now. Like,
I think
it's just because he's been the best quarterback. Who's been the best quarterback in football?
John Mateer's been the
John
best one,
Mateer.
but is he going to be one of those that he was elite in college, but then gets
Totally
everything
fair.
catches up to him in the
Well,
NFL?
that's so fair. That's such a fair question and statement to make, too. My whole thing is none of the quarterbacks this year in college football have been good enough to be like, yeah, let's start tanking for these guys.
No, they haven't shown
None
it.
of them have been that good. Arch hasn't been good enough. Arch has actually been horrible, dude. Nuss hasn't been good. Lenore Sellers now dealing with an injury, but he hasn't been good. Drew Aller, meh. Cade Klubnik, bleh. Like, no. I'm kind of not really in love with going and drafting a quarterback or number 1 overall right now. I'm just like, I don't think it's going to happen because we won't have the number 1 overall pick. And even if we do have the number 1 overall pick, I'm kind of like, ugh, right now I'm not loving the situation we have. Hopefully that changes, but I'm not really loving the number 1 overall. No. Yeah, Caleb Downs is still great. Yeah, so there's that. All righty, Nintenja, another question. Rattler has some Breeze qualities in him. Is that a question or a statement? QB, I think it's a question. Rattler has some Breeze qualities in him. I hate when people say, this guy has qualities of MVP, of Hall of Fame level player, one of the best to ever do it. What qualities? He's undersized, he can throw the football. Like, it's just disrespectful to Drew Brees. It's disrespectful to Tom Brady. It's disrespectful to Peyton Manning. It's disrespectful to the greats to say, yeah, this 5th-round pick who may or may not be around for a long time, he looks like this guy. I mean, like, I'm not trying to knock Spencer Rattler at all. I want that to be very, very clear here. But I just hate when the greats get compared to guys who are either about to get drafted or are rookies or in their second year. Like, no, I'm not going to say that Rattler and Breeze are the same player. I'm not going to say that at all. If you disagree, that's totally fine. I disagree. Jaden, can't be a mailbag without Jaden in the chat. How do you think Kellen Moore is doing as a head coach so far, and how do you think Brandon Staley has been as the DC? Kellen Moore, I think, has been better than Brandon as a offensive play caller than Brandon Staley as a defensive play caller. I think Kellen Moore could be better. I think he could be more consistent. I think he could make smarter decisions, and I think he could do a better job of scheming some plays up for some of these guys. But I think that Kellen Moore has done a good job as a head coach laying down the foundation for this roster for the foreseeable future. Brandon Staley, on the other hand, I think the defense is what's been losing this team games. The offense, whether one way or another, is doing their job. The defense is not getting off the field on 3rd down. The defense is not forcing turnovers enough. The defense is not playing consistently good enough, in my opinion. So I think that Kellen Moore has been fine as a play caller. I want to see him get better, though. And I want to see Brandon Staley have a much more productive defense, and I want to see them stop getting burned on 3rd down. That's just my big thing. 3rd down, if you can stop that, I think that's literally the only problem with this team. Like, just 3rd downs is the issue. And if you stop 3rd downs, then there's no issue. Like, it's kind of hard to, I don't know.
I think what I want to see more out of kind of both of them, aggressiveness. I feel like Kellen Moore's kind of left some points on the board, not wanting to go for it on like a 4th and 1 or taking that deep shot early in the game. I want to see that a little bit more. And then for Brandon Staley, going back to like week 1, still couldn't get off the field on third downs, but it'd be like 3rd and 5, and your DBs are playing 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, a little slant route across the middle, and it's first down every time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to get on the line, press those receivers, and Brandon Staley never dialed that up.
Or heck, leaving Christian McCaffrey wide open in space on 3rd and 10. What are we doing there?
Yeah, it's
like it doesn't make any sense. I think that Brandon Staley has improved the defense from last year, but he has a lot of improvements to make for this year still. Jaden, I appreciate that question. Thank you so much. Depressed at week 2. Oh, no, we suck again. Joe Burrow is hurt. Should the Saints trade Spencer Rattler to the Bengals? Kellen Moore drafted Shuck, and we are going to be bad anyway. All right. Let's have an honest conversation, because I do understand the argument being made here. The argument being made is that Kellen Moore handpicked Tyler Shuck as his quarterback. Kellen Moore picked Spencer Rattler to be the starter. Rattler has had 2 really solid performances. Joe Burrow is going to be missing significant time with a turf toe injury. So if Kellen Moore said, let me rephrase. If the Bengals said, Spencer Rattler's looking good, and we need a quarterback right here, right now, and that's the guy who's going to cost us less than anyone else out there on the trade market, let's just go and get Rattler. I would not be surprised if Kellen Moore was like, well, could use the extra draft compensation. We're not winning games right now anyway. Might as well give them a chance to see what we got. I understand the argument. I do not agree with the argument. I think that the Saints should keep Spencer Rattler around because, quite frankly, you don't know whether or not he is the guy. And so far, he has proven himself to be the guy. The New Orleans Saints need to be careful with this quarterback situation because you don't want to start the whole you have 2 quarterbacks, then you have no quarterbacks thing and starting back and forth each week. You don't want to do that. But you also want to be a little bit aware of what else is going on in the league and understanding of your own situation, knowing Spencer Rattler's trade compensation may never get any higher. So if the Bengals start calling, maybe you at least answer the phone call and listen. I'm not saying you do it. I actually think trading Rattler would be stupid. But I can understand the argument you're making here. Pablo, is Spencer Rattler the future? Dude. I hate these conversations. So it's, hey, let's trade Spencer Rattler. Is he the guy? Is he like Drew Brees? Like, that's just why I love these videos, dude. They're so much fun. All righty. Is Spencer Rattler the future? I still think jury's out. I'm not willing to confidently say no right now. But I'm also not confidently willing to say yes because I think that Spencer Rattler has shown some really, really nice moments. And I think that he has shown development and growth. But if you have an opportunity, and I've said this since going into this past draft, no matter what you do, if you have an opportunity to take a quarterback with one of the top 3 picks, you do it. You do it because that is the highest quality quarterback that the Saints will have been able to add, the highest draft pick, the highest resume, the best looking resume since Arch Manning in the 70s. So, like, is Spencer Rattler the future? I think the jury's still out. I'm not totally sure. I think that he still has to prove a lot, but I don't want to say no. Juwan Johnson, hopefully. Hey, Juwan, really quick. Practice a couple of those. When will we get to see Trey Palmer? I think that it's actually going to take an injury to see Trey Palmer on the field because the New Orleans Saints have made him a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row now. And what does Trey Palmer add to the offense? Speed, field stretching ability, big playability, route running. You have that in Olave. You have that in Shaheed. You have that in Brandon Cooks. You have that in Mason Tipton. And if Mason Tipton's not going to be getting snaps, why would Trey Palmer? And if you have plenty of guys who are fast receivers that are great route runners, why do you need another one? Like, I think that it just goes right back to size is what you really need. And having that big playability, that big-bodied pass catcher is more beneficial than having just another speed guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am eager to see Trey Palmer too, but I think it's going to take an injury on the wide receiver front to be able to see Trey Palmer in the black and gold. That's just an opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's video. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Shout out to Loco Lopez for helping answer some questions and share some hot takes. Friendly reminder, in case you forgot, Vernon Broughton likely out for the rest of the season with a hip injury and likely headed to IR very, very soon. We're going to be putting this out after our weekly live show on Monday night, so be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, because we'll have content coming your way tomorrow morning. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard for Loco Lopez. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.